Hey, witches, how you doing? Grab a cocktail, grab a cigarette, grab a wooden stake, because it is time for the Witches Movie Coven. Woo! Grab your goat. We all have our goats because we are here to talk about witches and witchy movies, and we have a good one for you tonight. My name is Patti Negri. I am one of your five hosts. You might know me from The Witching Hour, my regular podcast, or from Ghost Adventures for the past 10 years, or from all sorts of things, or from my brand new book, Dollcraft, which was just released this week from my beautiful publisher, Llewellyn.
Woo!
But let me pass this on to my beautiful co-host who could tell you what they're doing. Let's go to Heather with the hat.
Hi, I am Heather Greene. I'm the I'm the editor at Llewellyn Worldwide. I actually did edit Patty's book. I'm also an author myself of Lights, Camera, Witchcraft. It is a critical history of witches in American cinema and television, also published by Llewellyn. I am also a journalist that covering all things occult and witchy related in the media.
And I love the hat. Thank you very much. Let's move over to lovely Courtney.
That's me, Courtney Buckley, Ghostbait on Scared and Alone, and I am living proof that witches do melt. Because I'm melting. It's hot out. I'm melting. So, but I'm very excited to be here tonight. I have, as we've heard on the show before, talked about this movie a lot, and I can't wait to talk about it a lot more. And I brought notes, so I'm ready.
He's got notes. Thank you. It's good to see you. Richard-Lael.
Hi, I am Richard-Lael. Richard-Lael is one name, not two. If I were just Richard, I would be a... That's right. But I wanted to take a moment for those of you who are watching on the YouTubes and on our channels, go ahead and like us, hit the subscribe button. A lot of people don't know that they are. It really helps the channel a lot, and we bring you great entertainment. Also, I cannot wait to talk about this movie and get cursed.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
Oh, the tension rises. If we go to commercial break. No, we don't go to commercial break. We go to the one and only Jason Mankey.
I'm Jason. Like Patti, I'm also a Llewellyn author, and like Heather in a hat. This is my latest book, High Priest, the story of Raymond Buckland. I'm also a gardener who has grown a pumpkin that is this big. Like, it's out of frame. It's this big. I'm so excited. Every other pumpkin I've ever grown has been disappointing. So it's going to be a special night on the Witches Movie Coven because I am now a pumpkin gardener.
Wow, congratulations.
Congratulations.
That is great. Yes, I just want to say, somebody said it's like double Black Phillip Day. Yes, it is. Your eyes are not deceiving you, Colin. It is Black Phillip Twins night.
Smoke and stack.
Yeah.
Oh.
Twins. You can't tell them, oh, we're cousins. Oop, no quotes yet. All right. So speaking of, this movie is Sinners. It's a new movie out this year, 2025. Hopefully you guys all saw it. But if you didn't, in case you didn't, Richard-Lael, do you have an unbiased synopsis of this new film?
Oh, I certainly do. And Courtney, you are so ready. You are so ready for this. Filmed in Thibodaux, Louisiana, which is about an hour from me, it pretends to be in the Delta, Mississippi. And it's not, because it's cotton, not sugarcane, and that drives me crazy. That's a minor thing. These two brothers who are not cousins, but they pretend to be cousins, played by the same actor as if it were 1960s Parent Trap and the technology is new. How do they do that? These two brothers once worked for Al Capone, and then they decided they were tired of the life of profit and money and decided to come all the way back down to the South, to Mississippi, to open up a gin joint. Because of course they would. And they come down, and of course there's an allegory of racism. Absolutely, that did exist. It still exists. Absolutely. I think it would have been a much more interesting story had that been the focus. But no, there are GD vampires. There are effing vampires who come in being pursued by Native Americans who don't believe in GD vampires. But nonetheless, this Irishman, who is a vampire, pursues the cousin of the two brothers because he plays the music that can conjure the spirits from the past, the present, the future. And of course, this Irishman, misses his ancestors. He cannot cross over because, of course, he was turned into a vampire by people who were apparently Catholic, I think, because there's a fight scene with one of the brothers who ends up by being dead, and the cousin is quoting the Lord's Prayer, and he says something about, "Oh yeah, I know those words too." But it did give me comfort. I'm not going to steal the quotes, but that's kind of what it is. So anyway, these people this total ripoff of anything Anne Rice, because face it, before Anne Rice, there were no vampires in New Orleans or in the South. It was just not a thing. Demons? Yes. Devils? Absolutely. Ghosts? We all have ghosts. Absolutely. Vampires? No. There were no vampires before Anne Rice. So this Anne Rice knockoff. And then there's, of course, a woman from New Orleans, because you have to have, who apparently she's some sort of mystic witch or something, gives him a talisman to be protected. In the end, he ends up by ripping his talisman off so that he can kill the racists, which, great. I am so glad he did. And then there were a lot of vignettes off on the back, but at the same time, there's a lot of music that is playing, which is great. The soundtrack is great. The music is great. I loved the fact that there were, you could see the past, the present, the future, all of the same thing. And that is what music can do. Music does trace us all the way back. It takes us back to our most primal, which is amazing. Irish vampires in the South, I just can't buy it. I thought it was entirely overdone. I would have much rather have seen it a story about defeating actual KKK members. That's about it. And then, of course, roll the credits, excepting for, if you walk out, you miss the fact that everyone is dead excepting for the cousin. And he is pretending to be Robert Johnson, I think. But he's playing in a club in the 1990s when the other two come in who are dead, and they make some sort of sentimental remark about, "I wish I could see the sun." And then I actually closed the laptop at that point. And then I heard there was another one where he just sort of flashed back to when he was playing in the club in the 30s. And that's about all that I know, because I tried to pay attention.
Thank you for that clear, unbiased description of the plot line.
I couldn't even talk now if you asked me to.
Okay. Well, we won't make you talk for a moment, and I'm not sure how Heather can talk either. But can we pass it over to you? Maybe there is more to this movie. 5 things that we should know.
Yeah, so this is I describe this movie like a 7-layer cake. There's so many layers of meaning that there's no way we can encapsulate them. And I also would like to say, before I begin and before we continue this podcast, it's very important to note that a lot of these layers emanate and come from, on purpose, the experience of Blacks in America. And we are 5 white people.
Yes.
So we are not able to speak to that. And I want to just acknowledge it and name that, so we don't step in and understand where we're coming from. But I think it's important for people in America, regardless of who they are, race, ethnicity, whatever, to watch films like this and to read books that have these subjects, because we should all know everybody's experience to be better people in a society that is getting better and improving. So that's my lecture. Now I'm going to go to the 5 things. So the 5 things, let's talk about pretty much the same stuff I usually do. We'll start with, where's my list? Start with the basics, then the cast, then we'll talk about music, and then the director. And I want to save him for last for a reason, because some of his words lead to themes. So I'm going to start with the basics. 2025. It just came out. This is one of the newer films we've ever done. We usually do older ones. Its budget was $90 million originally. It creeped up a lot higher, but it didn't go too bad. And in the end, on opening weekend, it made over $48 million. And currently, we're talking 2 months here, 360 plus million worldwide. That's huge. Okay, extremely successful, and it is not done. It's still in the theater here, and now it's just come to purchase, not even rental, on streaming at this point. It did also premiere outside of its normal premieres. They actually took it and to Clarksdale, which is the town it's supposed to be about, even though yes, it was filmed in Louisiana. We'll give that to you, Richard-Lael, but but it's supposed to be Clarksdale, Mississippi, and it is. They took and actually did a showing there, and the town does not have a theater. It has an auditorium, and so they had a festival. They showed the film, and some of the cast and crew went down there. So I thought that's a lovely little gesture. Let's talk about that cast real quick. Some people you'll recognize, of course, Michael B. Jordan, Black Panther, Creed, Wakanda Forever, the Fantastic Four. Also, this director's original indie film, Fruitvale Station, I Am Legend. He played both of those the twins, in both cases. Let's go to Miles Caton or Catton. I'm not sure how he pronounces it. He's Sammy. He actually isn't an actor originally. He's a singer, which you can tell from his voice. And so this is really his first main film. And his pictures online are him younger than he is in this film, which is adorable. Haley Steinfeld. She plays Mary. She's also a singer and actually recorded and wrote one of the songs in the film Dangerous. She was in True Grit, Hawkeye, Pitch Perfect 2. She's the voice of Vi in Arcane, if you watch that series. Ender's Game, Bumblebee, a bunch of stuff. She's been around. Jack O'Connell is an English actor. He's Remick. He's also been in a bunch of things, mostly English, but British films and BBC stuff. But the interesting thing about him is that he was supposed to be the lead character of Beautiful Creatures, which he wasn't because his work visa didn't get to them in time. So they recast the actor. We've done Beautiful Creatures here. Of course, you have Annie, who is, I'm going to pronounce her name wrong. I apologize. Wanumi Masako. She is a British actress as well. And she is originally born in Nigeria. But she was in Deadpool and Wolverine, I Am Slave, Fantastic Beasts. She's been in a lot of BBC stuff. I'm more familiar over there. And one other one you might recognize was Delroy Lindo. He's been around forever. He was in, let's say, Malcolm X, Gone in 60 Seconds, Get Shorty, Clockers, Crooklyn. If you haven't seen Crooklyn, that's from '94. He's also English, and he's been around for quite some time. He was not in that picture, I don't think. And I'd like to point out there's a bunch of other ones: Jamie Lawson, Omer Benson Miller, Lee Jun Lee. But another one I have to bring up before I move on is Buddy Guy. Buddy Guy technically is not an actor, but he is an actor in this movie, and he plays the old Sammy at the end. Of course, he's a famous blues musician and connected with Chicago. So not the band Chicago, the city Chicago, to be clear. So he is actually makes that wonderful appearance at the end, which takes us into the music of the film. The music of the film is essential. It is actually, at first I thought it was a character, but it really isn't. It's the heartbeat of this movie, and actually the reason for this movie, and I'll get to that in a second. It is you have, I'll get to the story of how this made with Ryan Coogler and the director, but basically the origin of this movie, the reason for this movie's existence is the music. You have in it a different types of music that come through. That is the purpose. He's trying to emanate that out, and he literally shows that in that one scene, the denouement really of the movie, where he says music can reach back into the past and forward into the future, connecting, and the power of ritual. And so he really pulls that out, and that's what started this. And one thing that Ryan Coogler said was that he was trying to demonstrate the centrality of music to the Black experience. That is one of the layers of this movie. And I am not going to tell my opinion about this movie, but I am going to say that this movie did what the Ralph Macchio movie couldn't do. I'll leave that at there. I'll talk about that later. So music is central to this. Blues and more blues, and as well as the idea it's devil music. And that gets us to Ryan Coogler, the director. He is, first I'm going to talk about who he was, or his, excuse me. Ryan Coogler is born and raised in Oakland. He's from California. He went to USC film school, a graduate school, actually, very intelligent, trained in this craft. He notes that his first film, one of his first films, or the first film he saw at 5 years old, was Boys in the Hood, and it really inspired him. He eventually got to meet John Singleton, who directed it. It's a brilliant film if you haven't seen it. He was raised Baptist, went to Catholic school, so he had religion, and eventually over time was affected by the experience of Black folks in America with the in the 2010s, and you had the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff. So a lot of his films started to take on his interest in these socio-political conditions and experiences. So his first film was the indie film. He then went to Creed, which surprised a lot of people because that's a studio film, obviously a big studio film. Wrote and directed all of these, by the way. And then he went after Creed, of course, Black Panther. Everybody knows him most thinks of him for Black Panther because it is the most successful film by a Black director. He also wrote Black Panther, followed by Wakanda Forever. And then, of course, went to this one. He directed, wrote, and produced this film with his own production company. So he is highly successful. He said he's never lost. He actually was quoted as saying he's never lost anybody money. So there was a bidding war for this film. They wanted this film, and Warner Brothers won out. And he got a contract like no other. It kind of upset Hollywood a little bit with the benefits that he got. It's like, wait a second, he's got more power in the studio now. So how did this film come about? He was with his wife in the kitchen, and he wanted to make a movie about the music that's central to the Black experience, as I said, and that kind of converted into the music that came out of the Mississippi Delta, which is blues. And eventually spiraled into a story that he wanted to wrap into the cultural diversity that was conflicting there, because you had Native Americans, you had the Chinese Americans, you had the Irish, you had those Black people, and as well as the racism that was there, the conflicts, all of the stuff. So he wanted to bring all of that out. And so that's what you have. And then eventually he's like, okay, let's throw in some vampires. So, so the quote he said in an interview.
Oh my God, Richard-Lael's face.
Yeah, I know. So here's the deal. So why did he do vampires, right? Why? So he said in an interview, basically, because his interest, getting back to the interest, his interest has been exploring his own ancestry. So he wants to know where he came from. So he said, and basically he went to Africa before Black Panther, and Black Panther is an exploration of the African diaspora, of those origins. So this would be the next step. So if a superhero film can be a vehicle to understand the African diaspora, a vampire flick can address Jim Crow and the so-called devil music. And that's the concept that came out of it. He used the vampire as a vehicle to explore these themes. And so that gets us to the last thing I'm going to talk about, themes. We got layers. We got layers upon layers. We've got religion. Okay, religion and eternal life. You can do it with a vampire. You can do it with Christian. Everyone's promising you eternal life. Christianity, or is it going to come through music and art? Is a whole theme there. You've got family and friends and community. You've got that. You've got, of course, he says one of the major things is coping. He actually said active coping is one of the major themes in this movie. You have, of course, music and the centrality of it, the ritual of it, the magic of it. And of course, racism, Jim Crow, the culture, the confluence of all the various cultures. You have all this going on: love, romance, motherhood, fatherhood, and then, of course, magic. And so I'll lastly just stop there. Of course, we have the magic of the South, the magic that emanates out of the land, that comes there, that we have hoodoo, which came out of all of this. And hoodoo, the Annie is our hoodoo, and she's a positive character. She's not highlighted as something unusual or contra anything. She's just there. She just practices. And just as a note, and this is my last note before we go on, they did have a hoodoo consultant, and it happens to be a professor at Swarthmore College, brilliant professor. She's got PhDs from Princeton, all that stuff. And I happen to have her book for my own research, Yvonne Chirot. And here's her book, Black Magic, A Religion and the African American Conjuring Tradition. So she was the consultant that helped to make sure the hoodoo was working properly for the film, for the story. Is everything perfect? We can talk about that. Some of it we probably can address, but this is a very layered film. There's so many things we can talk about, like it or not. That's all the things you need to know. Good night.
Thank you, Heather. That is beautiful. Okay. Can you talk yet, Courtney?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I've resolved my feelings towards Richard-Lael for the time being.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Heather brought me right back into it and why I love this movie. And I've already given it away. I've already talked about it. That is my opinion of this movie. This to me is this is a movie that is why I love movies, and I'll get into it. If you can just bear with me, I have a lot to say, but I do want to echo what Heather said, that when you're watching this movie, or when I was watching this movie, I realized very early in that this is not my story to talk about. So I do want to recognize the fact that I'm coming at this obviously from a very different lens than someone who would have gone through this and seen parts of themselves in it. So this is my take, and that's it. So I'm not claiming anything other than that. But when I saw this movie, I saw it in the movie theater first, the regular theater, and then I saw it 2 more times in IMAX, and then I saw it again in the regular theater, and then I watched it on the TV just today. I'm going to try, I can't even talk about this without getting emotional. This is the reason why I say it's so important to see movies the way that they're intended to be seen. This movie was shot for IMAX, and it makes a huge difference to see it in IMAX. The impact of it is entirely different, even on just the regular big screen. So watching it in IMAX, and they did do this because I bought the digital version today. They do it where they go from having like the wide shot and then they open it up during pivotal points. When you're watching that in IMAX, it happens, and it become like you're just in it all of a sudden, and it's, something big is happening and you're invested in it, and it's crazy. The scene where Sammy sings "I Lied to You," I think is the best scene I've ever seen in any movie of all time. And the first time I watched it, I didn't get it, and I didn't get it at first. So the part where he's singing and it's showing the first person like from the future, I giggled a little bit because I was like, what is, this is such a weird thing you don't expect to see in this. And then as it continued on and you started to see all the different aspects of it, I was like, my chest ripped open, my soul was ripped out, and I was like, oh my god, this cracked the movie wide open for me, and now I understood it. And it was like, I also, because I saw it so many times in the theater, got to witness other people have that experience, not even people that I was sitting with. You could hear them in the theater giggling and then going, oh, in the theater. It was amazing. I think that, having said that, the music, I have the soundtrack and the score. This is the only movie in my life that I've ever downloaded the score of and listened to on a regular basis. Every time it pops up on shuffle in my playlist, I can tell what part of the movie it is because of the music. It's beautiful. And then I think, just from a cinematography standpoint, the amount of continuous shots they did in this movie was mind-blowing. So that whole scene where Sammy's saying, I Lied to You is all one shot, and they had to do that, and they did it several times. It was when they introduced the chows and they were walking back and forth across the street. That was a continuous shot. There was a point during when Pale Pale Moon was playing and they were going back and forth between the two twins. That was one continuous shot. It was wild to me watching that over and over again. Like sometimes I feel like movies will do that once and it's like a big, like I remember what was it? The Haunting of Hill House had one where they were spinning around in a family argument and everybody talked about it. Oh my God, this continuous shot. They stood still and they spun around in a circle, and it was such a big deal. And this one was so many moving parts and so much stuff. So it was crazy. Also, Richard-Lael, Michael B. Jordan playing two different people. He played two different people beautifully because I don't care what I didn't have to look. Hearing, I could tell who was talking because he had subtle differences between the two in the way that I could not tell. I forgot entirely that he was one person playing two different people about 5 minutes into the movie. And frankly, they're both so hot. And
they're both the same guy. So
no, they're not. Smoke and Stack. They're two different people. I'll hear nothing different. The subtleties in the way that he does their voices is different. Their mannerisms are different. He plays two completely different people. It is not a Parent Trap. It is great. And not because he slapped a fake accent on it.
Courtney, I forgot to mention that the Smoke and Stack, I believe they took the name from a song, a famous blues song. We have it. There it is. So that would be that. I didn't confirm that, but I'm pretty sure because he does mention Howling Wolf at some point as part of the program.
I need to now listen to that also because now I'm obsessed. But I'm looking at my list of notes to see what I've touched on and what I haven't. So then the vampires. Okay, so anyone before they went to see it that I was trying to drag to go see it would be like, oh, yeah, but like the vampires, like whatever. Okay, it's not really, to me, not about vampires. The vampires had nothing to do with it. They weren't even, to me, in my brain, real vampires. It had nothing to do with that. You had groups of oppressed people being oppressed. You had Black people, you had Irish people, you had Chinese people, women, whatever. And then the vampires, just the vampirism represented more oppression. So they were saying, come on, like, come with us, we're going to be free, right? We're going to be free. We're going to go into the night. We're going to be free. But then at the end, if you weren't a noob who got up right when the credits were over and learned to, if the lights are down, you stay in your seat, stayed and watched the rest of the thing. When they come back and talk to him, they're talking about for a few hours there, we were free. It was that day was the last time I saw my brother. It was the last time I saw the sun, and we were free. And for those 3 hours or however many hours that they got to be together as a community before everything started happening, because vampirism was just another way for them to be oppressed. They couldn't go outside in the sunlight, whatever, fine. But like, it's not about being a vampire. And then Remick, him being the Irish vampire, like there's, okay.
Layers. It's layers.
Right. Movies. We hate when movies spoon feed things to us, right? So this is not Twilight where we have to go to a bookstore in Port Angeles and Google the meaning of vampires so that the audience knows what we're talking about. But we have this dude who's an Irish vampire we're hearing about this magic that the music is, right? And it calls forth the spirits of the past and the future. When he is biting people, he is building a community at the same time as he is getting their memories and their thoughts and their whatever and everything that they have they're all becoming one collective, right? Because even though he's the leader, but every time someone gets bit and turns into a vampire, they start talking about community. So you have the three people in the beginning when they're trying to get into the juke joint. They're like, oh, they ask if they're part of the KKK, and they're like, no, like we're building a whole, like we're all about love, and we're all about this, we're all about whatever. And then later when Cornbread gets bit, and he comes back to the door, and he's like, we got to be nice to each other, we got to do this, that, and the other thing, like whatever. They're all doing that, but he is collecting these things to build a community because he misses his people. he's away from his people, and that's why he wants Sammy, because he wants Sammy's voice, who's going to bring them all together, whatever. But then them reciting the Lord's Prayer together is, you know, he has whatever he has from wherever he was from, and there's like subtle differences where he's talking in a southern twang the whole time, but then he goes back to this spot in his brain where he's talking about his roots, and he's saying the Lord's Prayer with an Irish accent. And even when he's singing still not fully like with an Irish accent. I don't know. There is layers. There's so many subtleties. I can't. Richard-Lael, don't look me in the eyes, okay? I've talked enough
given my review yet.
Listen, and someone in the comments, I just want to say this, and this is the last unhinged thing I'll say. Someone in the comments talked about the drooling into the mouth foreplay scene. Haley Steinfeld could spit in my mouth any day of the week, because that was amazing, and I loved every minute of that. This was, in addition to being the best movie I've ever seen, probably the horniest movie I've ever seen, and there was no nudity whatsoever. There was no boobs and butts, and I don't care. I was more excited in this than I was any other time. So I love this movie for so many reasons, and I could talk about it for the rest of my life. So that's me for now.
Thank you, Courtney. Wow, you could do this. Jay, I saw Jason peeking his hand up here. Did you have something to add to that or jump in?
I thought we were done after Heather and Courtney. I thought we were done. I was gonna go up and get another drink, maybe hit a juke joint, get some gin, something like that. I saw this in a theater, and I did not see it when it came out, even though I'm a fan of Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler. We just didn't get to it, and then the word of mouth came through, and we're like, oh, Ari, that's my wife, we have to go see this. And we went and we saw it, and as Courtney said, when you're sitting there and you're watching the movie, and it is sort of a movie in two parts in a lot of ways, but when they're in the juke joint and the song starts playing, Sammy's song, and time transforms, and everything about the world shifts. People talk about magic on the silver screen. That was magic on the silver screen. And I think my wife and I both cried. I'm about ready to cry right now.
Me too.
It is a powerful, magical moment that I have never experienced before in a film. And it stays with you forever. Second for me is the end of the movie where Sammy says, up until the vampires, that was the best day of my life. And there's something about that, because while that early part of the movie is going on, it does feel like the best day. I'm excited. I want to see everything get opened up. I loved how everybody's working together to make sure it opens up, except for the, racist jerk faces. And I loved watching them get murdered at the end of the movie. I'm not usually a bloodthirsty person, but that was very enjoyable. But
they deserved it. They deserved it.
Yes. That freedom and joy, though, in that first 90 minutes is just beautiful to watch.
Thank you. I agree. And Courtney, you put everything I was feeling just in much better words than me. I'm going to just start it out with, they didn't have to kill the snake. They didn't have to open the damn movie, killing this beautiful snake. Why does everyone want to kill animals? I understand the symbolism. I understand all of it, but it would have been a fine movie without having to kill that beautiful snake. Other than that, the music just had me from the second. I'm married to a drummer. I'm married to a musician. Jazz is his thing this last 20 plus years. But when we met, he was a blues musician. He'd play in all the blues club. I would go and sit and listen to this just music like no other. Blues is not no other, even though he is a white man drummer. And I think that's really part of why I fell in love with them. It's just that the music that came out of him and the band and everything. So the music had me throughout, and it really was, you're right, more than a character. It was the heart, Heather, that beautifully put. Yes, Tabitha, yes. Okay, and now I'm going to move on to the vampires. I am in the vampire culture as much as I am in the witch cut. Well, not as much, but I'm a vampire witch. I love the vampires. I thought it was not a remake of Anne Rice. There was nothing Anne Rice about it. These were different and creative, and I love that they took that whole almost religion stance about everything. It's like, wait, who's the good people? These are the good people. These are what it just had me at the word go once the snake part was off. Truly. the beauty of it, the darkness of it, the clothes, the sweaty, the everything about it just told this story that layers, as you said. You guys are pointing out everything that I was going to say. I don't have to say it anymore, but except for the snake. Okay.
The poor snake. I think there was a Humane Society tag at the end that no animals were actually harmed.
I know,
in
but
the production of the film.
There has to be in this day and age, and a
Yeah.
big film like that, there has to be little independence, but it looked way too real.
Well, I'll just jump in and say that. Oh, sorry, Richard-Lael. Go ahead.
No, the camera just moved to me. It's your turn.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to say that I love this movie, as it probably is clear. I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant in so many things, and the ability to do it's very hard to not only capture a story with this many layers in a way that's in a seamless way, in a nearly seamless way. There are a couple of things that I would, if I had to pick things out and go, okay, what about this? But in a nearly seamless way, especially adding in the music without it being a musical, without it sounding like it was purpose. Well, let's add music here. It just flowed. Everything just seamlessly worked together. And then to add the supernatural aspect of the vampires, to work on a very superficial level as vampires, or to work as a allegory for colonialism, as the threat that's going to oppress, like Courtney said, the non-well-meaning, come and be assimilated, come to here and you'll be free. The assimilation of the overculture that is taking in minority cultures, bringing them in, including their music. We don't like what they say. They like our music, but they don't like us. The assimilation, and that's what the vampires represented to me. Is that this overculture assimilation? And while and him being Irish was key because they were assimilated as well. And even the Choctaw who were separated, I wish they had come back at the end, but apparently the Choctaw and the Irish that lived there were allies for a while because of that shared oppression. But obviously things didn't work quite for the indigenous populations like they did for the Irish Americans. But you have that sort of sense that the Irish were assimilated first, but they look like the clan people, so they can pass. And so you wind up with this story of assimilation. There's so many pieces you can talk about in this movie. There's so many moments that are just brilliantly done seamlessly into the story that, I was crying like you guys at the music thing. I use music in all my magic. Magic doesn't exist for me without music and without beat. It doesn't. I even brought our dobro. I'll just show it to you guys. So I also have a partner that's a big into musicians. We've got guitars. So to inspire us tonight, I brought his dobro that he plays. He's not a musician like your husband in terms of professional. He just does it around the house. And anyway, music is a part of our family. Blues music, jazz music, Broadway music, all the musics. And even Katy Perry, when my children are around, we encourage it. And so it's part of my magic. It's part of my life. So I loved that they were able to do this. So I think this is his best film of all this. I think this is a landmark film, historic film for Hollywood, for American cinema. So I applaud Ryan Coogler. I applaud this movie 100%. Thank you for making it.
Thank you, Ken.
Now I have something to say.
Oh, look, he froze.
I like that we saved Richard-Lael for last on this.
Yeah,
though.
we had.
I will tell you, it was absolutely beautiful. The film was beautiful, front to back. It was beautiful. The music was heart-wrenching and powerful. And that one scene, Sammy's scene, I loved that aspect of music connecting the past, the present, and the future. I really thought it was it was, I didn't laugh in the moment. Now, mind you, I couldn't get it to play on my laptop and I had to watch it on my phone, but I did see that DJ and I realized instantly what was happening. There was some earlier remark about how he was able to conjure the spirits of the past, the present, the future. And I knew in that second, I knew what they were doing. And I went, wow. Yeah, that was brilliant. I loved it. I get the allegory of the oppression of the vampirism, and I get it. I also don't get it, and that's where it's the one thing where I just could not. I couldn't commit, and then at the same time, I felt badly for all of them. I felt badly for the Irishman who did miss his family and did miss his home. I mean, I don't speak to my family. I haven't spoken to most of my family in years. At the same time, I don't really miss them. So I don't know. I mean, I get it. But then on the other side, from a very real personal side, the Delta, the Mississippi Delta, has always made me absolutely nauseous. I love blues. I love that kind of Southern jazz. I love it. I cannot physically withstand the Delta. We used to travel when I was a kid. We'd go to visit my grandmother in Atlanta, and we'd go down to Texas, and we'd go down up and down the coast. And the Delta, I wanted to just close my eyes the entire way through. And maybe it was because I was a sensitive kid. And the Delta did have, even we're talking in the 90s, there was still a lot of oppression and a lot of depression and a lot of spiritual pain, I think, because you would see these people that are, even when I was going through in the 90s, that are so poor that their houses are collapsing, and yet there's a church on every single corner. And even then, that oppression just made me nauseous. I'm glad they chose to make the film there. I'm glad they did. I think it was a beautifully done film, and I can forgive the fact that he played two characters. I can forgive that, even though I like to make fun of it. Beautiful film, beautifully done. Would I watch it again? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't watch it again. But I wouldn't watch a lot of movies again. Unless it's The Addams Family, then I'd watch that 1,000 times. Maybe The Killing Tree, maybe once more.
Can I just add something that Ryan Coogler said that you mentioned real quick? In his interview, when he was researching, he went to Africa, he went to the Mississippi Delta, and he said that one of the things he was trying to bring out, and also he noticed, was that the misery of this area that you're talking about, as well as the vitality, both came from the same source. That was his quote. They both came. So the music and the beauty and the family and all the beautiful stuff, the vitality, as well as the sadness and the depression and all of that stuff, both came from the same source. And it was the oppression of the culture, the racism and all of that stuff. So, but he noted that, and that's one of the things he was trying to capture as well.
Well, he did it.
I will say, just hop in for a second about, and I respect it. Richard-Lael, I respect your take. I take back my sunglasses. Other than, now that you've taken back the quip about Michael B. Jordan, aka my husband's Stack and Smoke, I'll take it back. But just touching on the watching it again, the watchability, and Alicia's in the comments saying I'd watch this a million times. I think I obviously have seen it now 5 times, but I think I take something different from it, or I have a different experience every time I watch it. And I think that seeing it on again, it was filmed in IMAX, like it was meant to be seen on the big screen. So I think there's something to be said that, if you're choosing, if anyone who's watching it hasn't watched it yet and you're choosing to watch it, don't watch it on your phone. At least watch it on a bigger screen than that, because it takes away some of the impact, I think. But I would I forget. I lost my train of thought. Now I'm thinking about my husband's, and I lost my train of thought.
Well, in fairness, if they're
There
your
they are.
husbands, that train of thought would be lost often.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank
I'll put
you.
my glasses on for myself at this point.
Woo!
It's hot in here, and it's not just because of the humidity.
It's hot in Salem, Massachusetts tonight, baby.
Go, Courtney. Well, while we're with you, Courtney, unless somebody else has anything else to say. Oh, Jason, have you talked?
I did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Memorable too. No, I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. You know,
You know,
sometimes
it's been-
during the show, certain people will talk more about a certain movie, and that's one of the joys because they love it so much and are so excited.
Okay.
And I always gladly cede that time. My time is Anchorman, as we all know.
Okay. Well,
Stay
then
classy, San Diego.
San Diego.
Santiago.
Coincidentally, this is my same notebook with my Anchorman notes in it.
It's going to be
Anyway,
priceless one day, Courtney.
Right.
Priceless.
Yeah.
Greatness attracts greatness.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of which, Jason, I just wanted to, as an aside, with the No Kings rally in San Diego, the city actually tweeted, "You stayed classy, San Diego,"
Oh, beautiful.
That's awesome.
Nice.
and I immediately thought of you.
That is
I'll take it. I'll take it.
all right. So to stay on point, can we go back to you, Courtney?
For quotes, I have plenty. Excuse me. So my first one is the opening credits, and I think this speaks to, the whole point of the movie. There are legends of people born with the gift of making music so true it can pierce the veil between life and death. I thought that was pretty poignant. Also, one of my favorite quotes, and I say it all the time, every time I talk about this movie, where the KKK guy says, "Oh, you boys twins?" and they say, "No, we cousins." But I say, "Oh, my husbands." So, what are you doing? "Oh, I'm watching my husbands." Sammy's dad says, "You keep dancing with the devil. One day he's going to follow you home." And then the twins say, "That's why we came home. Figured we might as well deal with the devil we know." When they're talking about that. Annie and Smoke have an exchange where he's trying to give her real money instead of the plantation money, and she's saying, "This is real money. I'm not going anywhere." And she says, "I don't need that cursed money you got." And he said, "Woman, I've been all over this world in cars, ships, trains. I've seen men die in ways that I didn't even know was possible. I never saw roots, no demons, no ghosts, no magic, just power. And only money can get you that." Who was it? Oh my God, I can't remember his name. The singer, not Sammy, but the piano player. He said, he was talking to Sammy. He said, blues wasn't forced on us like that religion. No, we brought this with us from home. It's magic. What we do, it's sacred and big. With this here ritual, we heal our people. We be free. And then another quote that I say constantly, and I sent out on Facebook today that some people took literally, but we gonna kill every last one of you, which is Haley Steinfeld says when she's a vampire. And then after Cornbread almost kills Smoke, the other guy says, "Hey, y'all smell anything? I think I shat myself." And then the last one I wrote was, I thought it's one of those points in the movies where you just kind of want to jump out of your seat. Like, it's like, okay, here we go. Annie says, "These ain't haints, they're vampires," after she threw the garlic at Stack. And I was like amped up, pumped up, ready to go after I heard that quote. So those are my Sinners quotes, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And moving on, yes, beautiful as always.
Salty Slim, yes, thank you. Sorry.
Jason, do we have a Mankey movie moment on this?
We do, but is not a funny one. This is
Okay.
a very different one. It's easy to make fun of bad films it's another thing when a film is a great film, what do you write about? And I remember some of the discourse when this movie was released. So tonight's moment is about the discourse around the release of this film. Sinners was released on April 18th of this year and grossed $48 million or so on its opening weekend. In an age where nearly every movie is a sequel or some sort of intellectual property with a built-in fan base, $48 million is nothing short of incredible. Sinners is an original story, and most movies today that make hundreds of millions of dollars are tied to something that already exists. For instance, Sinners was the movie to knock the Minecraft film out of the top spot at the box office. Yep, a video game, more IP. You would think that Sinners would have celebrated. You think that everyone would have celebrated when Sinners lit up the box office. And sadly, that's not really what happened. Come Monday morning recaps, a lot of people categorize Sinners as something less than a triumph. Both Variety and the New York Times canceled the ticker tape parade that should have been thrown for the movie. Instead, they opined that the movie still had a very long way to go before it broke even, and movies very rarely have that sort of staying power. Vulture wondered whether or not Sinners was going to actually lose money, despite its impressive opening haul, which was several million dollars more than what was expected. I wonder why these legacy outlets reacted to Sinners the way they did. It's true that Sinners cost $90 million to make, and movies need to make about double or triple their production budgets to make money. But lots of movies cost $90 million and debut to $40 million. I wonder what could be different about Sinners. I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it. Of course we can. In its second weekend, Sinners made about $46 million, a mere 4.9% drop, which is incredible. But really, should that have been treated as incredible? Sinners director and writer Ryan Coogler is an A-list director, even if some news outlets are late to that party. His second movie, Creed, made $173 million on a $38 million budget. His third movie, Black Panther, made over $1 billion and was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. If that's not A-list, I don't know what A-list is. And along for the ride in all those movies is Michael B. Jordan, who is a movie star. Do you know why Creed works? Jordan. Do you know why Black Panther works? Well, there are a dozen reasons, including the late, great Chadwick Boseman. But much of it is Jordan, whose villain Killmonger is among the best, if not the best, in the MCU, and is so compelling that you can't help but wonder if he's actually right. Coogler, A-list director and writer. Jordan, movie star. The success of Sinners should not be a surprise to anyone, and Sinners is a stunning success, now having earned $362 million at the box office. And it's not done. Did it earn back its production budget? Oh, yes. Did it make money? Oh, yes. Will it be nominated for several Academy Awards, including Best Picture? Yes. Oh, yes. Sorry, Richard-Lael. Let's stop asking questions about the triumphs of Black directors and predominantly Black casts, and instead celebrate those triumphs. Movies are better when there are lots of different stories being told and people are exposed to a variety of perspectives. Kudos to Coogler and Jordan and the cast of Sinners. Boos to anyone who believed it would be otherwise.
And it's not too late. It's still in theaters. So if you want to go give this movie your money, as you should, go see it.
Go see it. Okay, it's gonna probably be a big surprise, but we are going to now vote. We want all of you guys in the chat room. We appreciate everything that you've been jumping in on, the funny ones, the smart ones, the stuff, all that. So let's wands up, wands down.
Can't see mine.
Oh, wait, I'm just kidding.
My wand has got its bells on.
Oh,
It's
God,
so
that
happy.
thing.
Up, so high up we can't even see it. And
I'm going to go on record and say best movie I've ever seen, and I expect that it will stay there for a very long time.
thank you. And almost up. You are almost erect.
The music was great. Costuming was great. It was beautiful.
Good. So what do you see? We Cullen, Bonds Up, even though the image of the Irish vampire playing the banjo in the style of Deliverance will haunt me in my nightmares. Bonds Up,
It's not untrue.
gives us a neutral on that one. Tell us why, Robert. Jump in there. Again, mostly Wands Up. And one neutral and one almost but up. Wands Up. I'll watch the rest of the movie. Somebody hits it. So, okay, Sinners. So now anybody who hasn't seen it, hope that intrigued you to go see it. And then, did you hear that?
That was strange.
What was that?
Somebody
That was-
conjuring the past, present, and future.
Or someone upset about not a full Wands Up.
I don't know. I just thought it was because my wife just walked into my
Nope.
house. I mean,
Did the guitar fall? Did the
art is
guitar?
magical.
Nope, it's right here. It's right here.
That was like spooky. The vampires are here.
It's still doing it.
I
It's
know.
not coming from my room, not from the guitar.
I think it's just me setting down my wall. It's very heavy. I think that's it. I think I set it down
Yeah.
louder than I usually.
That was good.
Okay.
though. That was a good
Yeah,
sound.
sorry.
You could- yeah.
This
The
could-
gong
Yeah,
of judgment.
We'll just continue to pretend
Ah!
it's mysterious.
Okay. All right. Next week. Miss Heather?
Midsummer's Night Dream in honor of solstice.
Solstice. Yes. Joyous solstice, everyone. Happy solstice.
Happy solstice.
Summer is here. Indeed. A beautiful, beautiful summer. And I will not be, I'm going to take at least one, probably 2 weeks off, but you will be well covered by these 4 beautiful people here and some of our fabulous regulars who jump in. And I will be back after that, refreshed and happy. That's all I'm going to say. Very refreshed. Me and Black Phillip, they're cousins.
Okay.
Anyway, we have a couple minutes left. Anybody have anything good going on?
We got Mystic South.
Okay.
That's as good as it gets. That's about
Okay.
3 weeks in Atlanta. Come join us for some magic and in the deep south. Magic and witchcraft.
Maybe some blues. I got the big blues, you know. I'm going to be in Pennsylvania this weekend at a place called the Doss House. It's called the Creep It Real Festival, not Mystic South. It's Creep It Real. But seances, mediumship galleries, workshops. I am doing the practical magic workshop, doing a mediumship workshop, investigations at haunted jails and haunted Doss House, everything you want, and lots of really cool people going. I think it's also a fundraiser for the location. So check out Keep It Real Festival. And who was jumping in next? Jason?
This Saturday, I will be at the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic in Cleveland, Ohio. And next Friday, I will be at Crazy Wisdom Bookstore in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Woo! As I tour this book that took 3 years to write. Please, for the love of all that is holy, buy one. Mm-hmm.
I will be in, I'll be here in New Orleans. I'm easy to find. I'll be here in New Orleans for meetings and seances here in my home. I am gentlemanpsychic.com. You could also, I'll be going to Scotland next year. I think June of next year. You can find it at tracelesstours.com, and then it's under Sacred Tours. That would be where you would find me. And that's me. I am really easy to find. So that's what I have going on.
Courtney?
I will be just hanging out. You can find me at the Themes on all the things. Talk about Sinners with me. I'll be sitting at home now that I own it, watching it over and over again and building my fantasy life. So
Perfect. And Heather, everybody all did this, right? Okay. So you guys,
Where can one buy Patty's new book? Everywhere. It's a Llewellyn book. It should be available at your local bookstore. If it's not there, you can buy it online or tell them to order it.
Yes, tell your local bookstores to order it. You could buy it online everywhere you buy it online. You can get a signed copy on my website that comes all packaged really cute by Mystery Control. And speaking of Mystery Control, get some merch. You can get that Richard-Lael little devil pillow. You could get capes and cloaks and things and t-shirts and quotes and more quotes. I'm hearing things again.
It's that jazz. It's all that jazz.
All that
That jazz.
All right. And on that note, we have one more thing to go. You guys, I miss you already. Come back next week, though. You guys can't miss it. So everybody else watch it and listen to it and fill me in later. 1, 2, 3.